No, it's fine.
I know we didn't plan on doing this, but... Well, hey there everyone. I'm Kay here on my homestead in Tennessee. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I live on a little over 9 acres on a hill in Middle Tennessee, my home state, after living in California in a tiny urban garden for a very long time. So today we're going to talk about where's the best place to locate your worm tower. Now, if you've missed my other worm bin, worm tower videos, I'll put the link right up here of the one I just did with Daryl. And you might want to pause the video if you know nothing about a worm bin or worm tower, or why you should have one. You might want to pause this video and watch that and come back. If not, let's proceed. Okay, so the main reason to have a worm bin is it pre-finishes your compost so that when you put your kitchen scraps into your main compost bin, it doesn't attract critters. Daryl goes over this extensively in his video. You know, if you are alone and you grow a lot of vegetables and you don't have chickens or other animals that might help you eat them, you wind up with a lot of waste, and that is my case. I grow more than I can use, more than I can preserve, and I don't have any critters to eat it up. So all of that goes just into my compost bins. And even though Daryl got the idea 10 years ago from me to make a worm tower, I hadn't actually made them here on my Tennessee property. So, where is the best place to locate your worm bin? Well, you want it close to the house, because this happens all year round where you're taking your kitchen scraps out to your worm tower. Okay, well, in my case, this house was built, they put a level space on a hill and put the house here. So Daryl suggested right over here by the house. That would be so convenient. I wouldn't even hardly have to step out in the elements to put them in this planter where I have my hostas. So I had Randy dig up the hosta at the end, and the dirt is so hard and so compacted, and I just thought, these poor worms, the whole point of a worm tower is to attract worms that can go freely in and out of the tower to poop in where your vegetables are, to help fertilize your garden, right? So if you don't have your bins anywhere near where you're growing vegetables, what's the point? And this was surrounded by foundation on 2 sides, sidewalk on the other side, and there was very little opportunity for worms to get over there. And another thing is, if you put it ground level, then every time you come out to put something in, you are bending all the way down, because you gotta hold yourself, and you gotta screw that lid off, set that over here and dump it all in, and you're bending down, you got to put the lid back on. And it's so much better if you can get them higher up. The whole point of a raised bed is so that you don't have to bend all the way to the ground, and that's why putting them higher is so much better. And I haven't seen that many worms here anyway, except in my very fertile area of my huge garden at the bottom of the hill. So it was quite the decision. And so Randy and I thought, because we had moved a bunch of wood chips over here to develop the new driveway garden, I thought maybe that corner up there behind the cranberry hibiscus, I thought maybe he could get down, because my buckets are 6 gallon or 6.5 gallon, and so they're very deep. Well, you've got to dig a hole the depth of your bucket, almost to the top of your bucket, whatever your bucket. You can use any size bucket. You know, if you have very little kitchen scraps, you could use a 3-gallon bucket. But it must have a locking lid so critters can't get in there, right? Okay, we covered that in the other video. So here I finally said, you know, he tried digging up there and he ran into rock. And I thought, well, I'm not even growing vegetables except for that pepper up there anyway. So I said, that's not the best place. And my raised beds, where you want to be kind of close to your compost bin too. And of course, in Daryl's case, it's just a few steps from his worm bins, which are side by side, to his compost bin. Well, it just can't happen that way here because my compost bins are over in the shade over across the driveway, and the ground, there's so much rock down there. There's no way you're going to be digging 3 holes that are that deep. It's just not going to happen. And they wouldn't feed any vegetables. There's no vegetables I'm growing over there. So I finally decided, because I didn't want to put 3 big buckets in one raised bed, I decided to put 1 bucket in the 3 largest. Well, I have 4 that are 6 by 8, 4 raised beds that are 6 by 8. And I put 1 in the deepest corner, downhill side, because my raised beds are set up on a hill. And that made it possible. Take a look at Randy digging the holes. Spring. What do you think? the following day, I think he or another friend had suggested just going to Walmart and getting some fishing bait, some red wigglers, and getting the process started. So take a look. That's exactly what I did. Take a look. Okay, let's get this party started. They're in there somewhere. I saw them in the store. There, there they are. One big wad. There's 30 worms, they say. It looks like about 30. All right, go for it, guys. Let's give you a little bit more dirt. All right, 2 more to go, but I got a little work to do on them first. I got to pull the dirt around and start filling them up. Okay, so now we are full on into planting fall gardens. In fact, at this point, we're September 5th, probably not going to be planting anything that's not a quick season, like lettuce and radishes and maybe beets. And so I wanted to get the raised beds cleaned out, and we managed to get a couple of them cleaned out. So the next day, Chase was here. That was yesterday. Chase was here, and he fluffed up the soil all around the worm buckets, as well as one of the other raised beds. And yesterday afternoon, I walked out and I said, oh my goodness, I have had this tray of lavender that has been sitting here all summer in these 3.5-inch pots, languishing. You know, not getting enough water, getting too much water. They're in a tray. And I walked out and I saw that they, you know, because we finally got some rain, they were just keeling over. And I'm going, Kaye, get them planted. Just plant them in the raised bed. I said to myself, I can always transplant them. If they live through the winter, I can transplant them in the spring. And at least, I mean, right now it's pushing 6 p.m. and that raised bed is in full sun, as it was last night when I planted. Take a look. Well, everyone, this happened. This is what happens when you get really sick of having some seedlings sitting around in water trays, and they never do anything all season, and you think you're going to throw them all away, and all of a sudden they start growing, and you go, wait a minute. I just recovered this whole raised bed today, and I thought, you know what? This is lavender. And if it turns into something, if it lives through the winter and it turns into something, I can always transplant it next year. But this took 10 minutes because Chase was here today and he cleaned out this whole bed. Well, what he uncovered was an ant community really trying to get something going in there. And so I thought, well, I am not going to abandon ship just because the ants think they're going to have this to themselves. So I put on the product. You're not supposed to disturb the ant hill, so I just tried to sprinkle it around. But I used this product called Come and Get It, which has worked for me before. And I'm hoping that it takes care of the ants without further toxicity to the bed, and life can go on for my plants. But I see that they have scouts all over this bed, and fortunately I haven't been stung, and I'm out here. I just came out to do a little grounding and did not plan to do this, but hey, when the inspiration strikes, you answer, right? Okay, that does it. There are 11 lavender. Some look better than others. And 1 aster, which has been pretty bug-eaten, but it's alive. 1 rosemary, and like I said, 11 lavender. So I am very pleased with this completely unexpected addition to my garden today. Okay, I put on the final touch. I went ahead and used some Sluggo because I know I've got some pretty big grubs in another bed, and it's safe for organic gardening. It's OMRI certified. And I also used a scoop of alpaca manure, which is supposedly highest in nitrogen, and sprinkled that around all the plants. And I just put some straw around all the things I just planted, and I left this big open area in the middle for the ants to figure out what they're going to do. Hopefully they'll be vacated by tomorrow. Okay, lots going on here, and I hope you will subscribe if you haven't already. Like the video on your way out. Tell a friend about what's going on up here on the hill with me and all that I'm trying to grow and all that I'm doing up here to try to live my best life. So stay tuned for more. Please subscribe, share with a friend. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Oh, and I found a nut. So this is the nut of nutgrass. So this is why you think, oh, I've got it. I've got the... No, these are the nuts. This is like a freeway system about 8 inches down below your surface, and everything else you pull out just pulls right out. But this, you got to dig down for that. Okay, one down, 10,000 to go.